Good evening and welcome to your most authoritative evening political show, Hot News. We are coming to you from our studios in Abelenque 48 Swanika Street here in Accra. We're live on Facebook at Pan African Television, live on YouTube at Pan African Television. Those of you watching us on Facebook can share the Facebook Live for other people to also watch tonight's edition of the program. You can join in the conversation by sending your views, comments, and contributions on our WhatsApp/text line displayed on the screen. We'll make a time and read all those out for you. You can leave your questions, suggestions, and whatnot on our social media pages too. My name is Justice Appiah, and tonight on Hot News, you know that the New Patriotic Party has been responding to former President John Dramani Mahama on some issues with regards to the economy. He touched on yesterday at a professionals forum held at University of Ghana, Legon. Yesterday, former President John Dramani Mahama touched on litany of issues from inflation to sloganeerism and the fact that this government has mismanaged the economy. The New Patriotic Party, led by its General Secretary, John Boadu, responded to former President John Dramani Mahama. Let's go and listen to what the New Patriotic Party has been saying in their press conference in response to former President John Dramani Mahama. We'll be right back.
And boom times, according to John Mahama. The worst economic crisis former President Mahama ever faced was falling commodity prices, which according to his boom and bust analysis is normal for every administration. Yet he could not manage to keep the economy on an even keel. One of the most barefaced assertions he makes in his remarks at the public event hosted by Sentepe is that he inherited a bad economy. Of course, he did from himself. Having ruined the economy he presided over as vice president to the late President Mills, he stood before Parliament at his swearing-in and proudly admitted that he has run the economy down to the bone. This was an economy that had been moved from epic, with substantial debt relief, grown from 3.7% in the year 2000 to over 8% by 2008, when we handed over to the Mills Mahama administration, including newly discovered oil in commercial quantities and a revamped cocoa sector and the provision of numerous social intervention programs.
That was the General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, Mr. John Boadu. Now let's go and listen to former President John Dramani Mahama speaking at the forum yesterday. Let's listen to some of the things he touched on.
Ensured that we kept our public debt within manageable levels, with debt amounting to 56% of GDP based on the rebased economic figures. This government likes to quote the debt to GDP in our time at the old GDP figures, and then they do an adjustment in this time with the current debt to show that the debt level is better than it was under our period. But I mean, that is disingenuous. If you rebase the economy, then same must match with same. You can't compare apples with oranges. We also brought down the rate of accumulation of debt, as has been vividly demonstrated by the former finance minister in his presentation. It became necessary in 2014 for us to go into partnership with the IMF in order to achieve more success implementing our homegrown fiscal consolidation policies that we had crafted as a response to the economic turbulence resulting from the shocks that I have spoken about earlier. Now, when we went to the IMF, this was the 16th time that Ghana was seeking assistance from the IMF as a nation. Though our opponents at the time made it sound as though it was novel and it was anathema, I made a point then that it was to be our last resort to the IMF, because I was confident that having the program straddle 3 years, though we had just 2 years left in office, it was going to ensure that a succeeding government would have the opportunity to continue from where we left off and do things that would make subsequent programs completely unnecessary. It is noteworthy that the program was extended by another year by the Akufo-Addo administration, and they received in excess of $300 million, which was the final tranche of the extended credit facility that came with the program. If you remember, the facility was a little over $900 million, and so by the time we left office, some 600 and something million had been disbursed, and so the new administration got the balance of the 300 and something million. I'm on record to have predicted in November 2016 that due to the work we had done to overcome the economic headwinds and the coming on stream of 2 additional oil fields, Sankofa and Tenfield, growth was going to exceed 7% in 2017 and beyond. I said this during the State of the Nation address I predicted, and this was confirmed by the World Bank and IMF, which predicted that growth was going to exceed 8% in 2017 and beyond. Additional oil revenue, a resolved energy crisis, paving way for more and sustained generation of power and sound implementation of our homegrown policies were going to make life more comfortable for the new government that inherited after 2017. Despite these favorable conditions, most of the gains we made and bequeathed to this new government have been eroded, and we've been plunged again into economic crisis. COVID-19 has become the convenient tripping boy and has been cited as the reason for the crisis we face now. COVID-19 only became a pretext for reckless election-related expenditure, which produced the largest ever budget deficit in recent economic history of Ghana last year. Indeed, you remember that at a time when the new government had just taken over, a year or two after, when things, they were still enjoying the largesse that we had left them, one of the leading members of the government said that their reserves had grown so big that if any external shock affected Ghana, Ghana would be able to go 3 months without seeking any external assistance. I don't know how many of you remember that statement. When COVID hit, it didn't take 2 weeks for the Ghanaian economy to go on its knees.
That was former President John Dramani Mahama. He was speaking at the University of Ghana yesterday at the Professionals Forum, where he touched on some, issues affecting the Ghanaian economy under President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. But that former President John Dramani Mahama is touring the Bono region, and he has made a statement pertaining to the 2020 elections and the fact that going forward, elections are going to be won at the polling stations. Let's listen to former President John Dramani Mahama. I saw this trending, and let's go and listen to him before I introduce my guest for the discussion to start.
Well, because if in 1992, Ghana had about Obi Appiah no akujina line no atunaba. Ye kanya assembly ni ho. And so say emre aye womu no sa all die be die mantra no eno na ye adwuma. Na first no me kan say basa yo bi beba ye macho fo ya ye bro ye ho na police achi omu ne akoloke omu ye to aba ni wiane ye yi omu. Enti na nya de a ebe say nipa ahwe na nkwa na say bibisa. And so under this kind of precedent, why elections like life and death for him. And much of or the Delta forces, invisible forces, main security services. Because I tell you, police near Nassau, no, I can say, we empower your police near or share earring, poor body say, now share no ma you can't tell whether it is really a police officer. What they say. or a soldier. But in himself, Omo infiltrated security services, with some of their people. Enti, when you see what the man ha, you na video no, you'll be a video nibi. The way Omo a tono into the crowd, it was intended to kill people. We should draw the end say now okoto emi yeno. So to at that level about Miss Nipa Bewu. And that's a Nipa Be pray. And the idea what me say it is their intention. Because we share seats ni bi ne enyoma ekoso na enya there to assume. Na you hope say the next election e beba no we won't see scenes like that again.
Right, that was former President John Dramani Mahama. Please join in the conversation by sending your views, comments, and contributions on our WhatsApp text line displayed on the screen. I'll make a time and read all those out for you. You can share the Facebook Live for other people to also watch tonight's edition of the program. I've been joined in the studio by former National Chairman of PNC, Bernard Mona. Bernard, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight on the program. It's been a while.
Thank you for having me.
Before we move to the topic of discussion,
I cannot jump into your studio if you don't invite me. So I'll leave that for your viewers to judge whether you have invited me and I declined to come or not.
My big brother, you know that every Thursday you get a call from me. You know that your slot on the morning show on every Fridays.
We are talking about hot news now.
Oh, you're talking about hot news anyway. But you have not been around anyway.
So once you invited me, I'm here.
Right.
And your producer has been magnificent because at the time she called me, I was tired and I was hesitant. But she persevered.
Right.
And I hope that she will be able to continue to do so for other guests.
Very well.
Particularly when you give them such short notices, that she should have the capacity to convince them to come on your show.
Very kudos to my producer, and I would say a very big thank you to her. But Bernard, before we move to the substantive topic, do you subscribe to winning elections at the polling stations? As said by former President John Dramani Mahama, it looks as if he is unhappy with what transpired in the just ended 2020 election.
I'm not sure personally I'm also happy because, as you are aware, I went to the polls intending to become an MP for my constituency. My people did not vote for me, and therefore I am not a happy man because I lost the chance to represent them in Parliament. And so I'm not sure that it is a tasteful thing for anyone who have lost elections to come in and out and say, I'm excited about the elections.
Right.
Number two, I thought that President Akufo-Addo had performed so abysmal as to deserve another term. I thought that his performance in government was at variance with his rhetoric in opposition, and that his continuous stay as president portends looming danger for our nation. But President Akufo-Addo was re-elected. And so personally, I have two disappointments. One, that President Akufo-Addo won again, and two, that my people did not vote for me enough for me to go to Parliament to represent them and to seek the appropriate development and legislations that will enhance the fortunes of our people. So if President Mahama is unhappy with the outcome of the 2020 elections, he is justified, because everyone that will do a list of comparison, Mahama would have thought that he did sufficiently well to be able to topple Akufo-Addo. Unfortunately, somehow it appears that polling station by polling station, coalition center by coalition center, his own people let him down. And therefore, there will be the need for him to make an appeal to his party people to take the elections at the polling stations seriously, monitor it. I can tell you that for the vigilance of my brother Timothy in the Nadoli Kaleu constituency during the coalition, almost 5,000 votes of the NDC was missing. That's for the presidential candidate. Those who were there to monitor were only jubilant because they had won the parliamentary elections. And therefore, they had forgotten that there was a bigger picture of presidential. It took Timothy to come from home, prompted by some of the agents that were there, to come and point out to the Electoral Commission, and they admitted that there was a mistake. How many of such mistakes occurred at the coalition centers across the country? And so if you don't have people who are committed to both presidential and parliamentary, and they are just there, and they are jubilating because they have won parliamentary, you will just wake up to realize that the presidential has overcome you.
In other words, are you saying that the 2020 election was rigged?
I have no doubt in certain constituencies, and you do know that because of the NDC and President Mahama's disapproval of the manner in which the Electoral Commission went ahead with this, they went to court. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court bastardized the processes. They did not allow the star witness to come and make any case. And so if the chairman of the Electoral Commission, the person who supervised the elections, was prevented or was not allowed to be cross-examined, how do you then call actors of state institution? If you take me to court, maybe I'm a chief director, and you take me to court, and then you say I should come to court and talk. After you have made your case as chief director, I'll tell you that I have the right to remain silent and that I will not appear before it. Right. And then you can always cite the case of the Electoral Commission chairperson, where the Supreme Court says that you cannot force a witness to come and testify. And so some of the decisions of the Supreme Court were so bitter, and they will come to eat us up in one way or the other as a nation. It will not be long when people will go to court and refuse to go and testify because why? The Supreme Court had made a certain declaration that you can't compel someone against the person's will to come and make. But we are not talking about any ordinary person. We are talking about the chief conductor of an election. And that come and tell us what happened. We did not get certain documentations, or the documentations we have, bring yours so that we can compare. And you know that this is justified. People have documents, and you can call them fake documents. So you bring the original documents that you have in your possession to come and confirm that their documents are fake or not. And so if the Electoral Commission was denied or was supported not to bring documents before, you have every justification to say that some things went under the carpet and that the Electoral Commission rigged the elections for President Akufo-Addo. And so this time around, if the NDC 2020 presidential candidate says that the party must be vigilant at the polls, we must watch everything. Any bird that is flying, you must watch.
Did you talk about being vigilant at the poll or at the polling station, or he sounds more or less like somebody who is sounding a war drum? In the upcoming election.
In any case, well,
we talked about the fire now. What has come to be the norm, or what has come to be part of our elections, is the "all die be die" mantra. What did he?
But is it true that President Akufo-Addo used "all die be die" to win the elections?
Did he do that?
Is it true? If President Akufo-Addo trumpeted "all die be die," and the whole nation went to sleep over it, and President Akufo-Addo exhibited that Yechiro mu Bibi Kakra wa Atiwa. And then if Atiwa was Bibi Kakra, which led to the election of the Minister for Roads, and it was Bibi Kakra, then they showed us something big when they demonstrated what they could do at Ayawaso West Wagon over the by-elections, and I'm sure you remember. And so the demonstration of Ayawaso West Wagon, when they just told us that this was a rehearsal towards the 2020 elections, people thought that it was a fluke. It turned out that that was actually a rehearsal. We're in this country for the first time where military men will have to go into coalition centers to scatter and shoot people and kill them. So under the circumstances, it meant that it was not only a rhetoric, but it was a rhetoric that was manifested in many ways than one. People were brutalized. The security agencies are unable to account for the brutalization that took place. In Ayawaso West Wagon, we saw how our ministers responsible for security in this country tumbled, and some tumbled over the matter as to who was in control. They police commander at the Legon district did not even know that there was going to be such a special operation. So he was ambushed. Virtually his territory was taken over by hoodlums belonging to the national security. The Minister for National Security said he did not give such an instruction. Police vehicles were used, police uniforms were used, and yet the police operations officer did not know how these things came about. So virtually President Akufo-Addo has led our nation into Armageddon. And if that is the way to go about elections, let's all embark on it. If the president becomes lawless, you expect citizens to be lawful?
Has the president been lawless?
He's been lawless because the president is the storehouse of all these hoodlums in government. The Manasseh Azure's militia in the castle. Documentation is evident that at the seat of government, don't forget that the senior minister, the then minister for regional reorganization and then development, they were all having their offices at the castle, and therefore the castle still remained a seat of government. And yet you could house a militia that was training in the castle gardens. So if you come and say that the president is a lawless president, it manifests in the kind of people that the president was training. Training militia at the time when we have full security. You have the army, you have the police, you have fire service, you have immigration, you have the customs division, you have the prisons. And still, the president did not find that he and his party boys were safe. He needed to create a militia in the castle so that they can train them. And these people served as macho men, preventing people and beating people. If there is anything to call lawless, President Akufo-Addo is the #1 lawless person in this country.
Bernard, is the National Democratic Congress the party that former President John Dramani Mahama led and seeks to maybe lead, not guilty of some of these militias as well? Because as far as this country is concerned, the NDC also has some of those.
President of Ghana, we don't have two presidents of Ghana. We have one president of Ghana.
President John Dramani Mahama has.
I'm saying that ever been a president. We have President Kufuor. He's been a former president of Ghana. Okay, we used to have President Rawlings. Okay, former president of Ghana. I'm saying that at any point in time, we have one president of Ghana.
Right.
And that one president of Ghana has been entrusted with authority and power to deal with any miscrimes in this nation. That is why he is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces.
Right.
He is the head of this police council. He appoints the IGP, appoints the chief of defense staff, and all the service heads in this country. So if any other person is hosting or harboring any unlawful group and the president is not acting, you turn and say that the former president and his party are keeping an unlawful group and President Akufo-Addo is sitting down and watching, then it means that we have no president.
Right.
When I am president, I will take full charge and let the security of this country crush any illegal team in this country. So the inability of President Akufo-Addo to crush any illegal group means that he is a conspirator of that group.
Means that he is a conspirator of that group. Viewers, you're still watching Hot News right here on Pan-African Television with me, Justice Appiah. Keep your messages coming in. We'll be reading some of your messages. We'll open the phone lines for some of you to call and contribute to the program. Now let's delve into the discussions properly. Let's look at the state of the economy. The New Patriotic Party has been responding to former President John Dramani Mahama on some issues pertaining to the economy that he touched on. The NDC, of course, talked about the fact that the MPP in government is mismanaging the economy and trying to use COVID as a care-off to cover for their mismanagement and all of that. They talked about inflation and all of that. You are here from the beginning of your submission. You talked about President Akufo-Addo's abysmal performance. The MPP thinks otherwise. Your take on that?
It is sad. John Boydu is not an executive of our government. He is an executive of the New Patriotic Party.
Right.
We are talking about government. And because our government disrespects the citizens who voted them into power, instead of ministers who have been entrusted with responsibility to run the affairs of this nation, to be clothed with authority to respond to allegations of whether they have managed or mismanaged the country, they have decided that a general secretary whose locus in government is not defined by any law of our country, that will come and make mockery of himself and say that he's responding to the issues of economic hardship, the issues of inflation, the issues of gross domestic product growth, and what have you. We have a ministry responsible for finance.
Right.
We have a ministry responsible for trade. We have a ministry responsible for agri.
Right.
And above all, we have a ministry responsible for communicating government issues. So if government wants to respond, I will give it weight if that response is coming from a government functionary, not from a partisan person. In this instance, John Boydu. So I rubbish that as a nothing and no value press conference that he did. Because obviously, you will not be seeking response from John Boydu. You should be seeking response from government and the people that the state pays legally to act on government should be mandated to come and respond, if indeed there is anything to respond. Okay? So if they don't do that, and then they decide that any newits can come and respond, then it means that our government has simply failed the citizens of this country. Now take note of this.
Okay.
Take note of this.
Right.
I am not a friend of the economics of averages, and you know that I've stated my position loud and clear on this matter.
Very well.
Now, when you talk about inflation, I ask you, those who have done basic economics will tell you that there is a correlation between inflation and unemployment. And in developing countries, anytime you are talking about inflation coming down, the opposite end, which is unemployment, is rising. Okay? So anytime you see that inflation is declining, it means that you are not spending enough as to generate jobs for the people. Because see, you are a country of monumental deficits. You have deficit in education, and that is why several years after you have changed curriculum, you have not been able to print textbooks that will accompany the new curriculum so that pupils and teachers will be able to use that new syllabi to be able to impact on our people.
Right.
You are talking about deficit in our health infrastructure in this country. You are talking about deficit in road infrastructure. You are talking about deficit in employment. You are talking about the deficit in drinking water and other social amenities. You are talking, so anytime you look at all these deficits in the developing country, what you then know is that government will have to inject lots of money so as to push the economy. So that, look, infrastructure and roads is developing, you have education is rising, healthcare is improving, agriculture is expanding, people are getting jobs to do. And when the people get jobs, they will spend. If you look at the German economy, what they did, and that was the time you had galloping inflation and what have you, they had a stimulus, which they call the Marshall Plan. They spent a lot, and you are told that by the time you finish this bottle of water, if this bottle was selling at 1 cedi, by the time you finish drinking this bottle of water, the next bottle will be 2 cedis. We called it galloping inflation. But it was needed because every aspect of the economy had to be working in tandem so that you can develop. You are sitting down with all these deficits, then you are doing inflation targeting. You are doing inflation targeting when your communities don't have water to drink. We still go to do like this, clear animal dung, and we drink water with the animals. And so, what is this issue about imposing on yourself that you have deficit or you have declined inflation when young people cannot get jobs to do?
But it's that they have created jobs.
And young people don't have jobs to do. If you don't mind, right after this studio, I'm coming from Elwak, where I go to play volleyball.
Right.
Go to the Elwak Sports Stadium and see the number of young people that are currently sleeping there. What are they sleeping there for? They have come for military and other security service enlistment. They don't have any place to stay. And you think that they want the enlistment. No, they are looking for opportunity to just get a place to hang on so that they too can survive. By the way, I have already said that, look, it is out of lack of ideas that you think that a strong security is dependent in modern times on the number of personnel you have. Because a strong security is now a technological hub. I can sit here and set a drone to look for you, not so. That is security. You have your engineer regiments. They are bankrupt. They can't develop anything sophisticated for themselves, let alone to protect our nation. So when you have these economics of averages, that tend to have negativity. And you know, I say we learn these things in school so that we can come home and work with it. Now you are talking about GDP. You are talking about per capita income. What is per capita income, by the way? It is the total sum of money that is in the economy divided by the total population or the number of people that live there. So you know how much money Ken Ofori-Atta has, how much money Gabi Okyere-Darko has, how much money the president of Ghana has, including the fact that they can even give some to Sputnik V Sheikh, and then they can go and rent jets that cost us 14,000, 15,000 pounds an hour. Now you sum all that amount of money and divide by the total population. So how much you earn is added to that big income. And then when they divide, they will come and tell you that the per capita income maybe is $2,000. Do you get $2,000?
No.
So you don't get $2,000. So that's why I say it's economics of averages. So when you take all these rich people with their huge money and come and give and add to the zero incomes, and there are many young people that earn no income, not so. You add it, and then you divide by the total number of people that are resident in Ghana. You come and tell me that our economy is doing well, when majority of our people are in serious need of common water to drink, of 1 meal a day to take. So economics of average doesn't work for me. Now, as for GDP, the least said about it, the better. GDP is the total production of goods and services in an economy over a period, irrespective of whether those things are produced by Chinese, they are produced by Japanese, they are produced by Australians, they are produced by American, Lebanese, or what have you. And so in this country, when you go to the mining sector, the people who are into mines are largely Australian, Canadians, the Americans, the Chinese. The Ghanaian component is negligible, insignificant. The government of Ghana owns less than 5%, for 3% of our gold. 97% of our gold is owned by foreign interests. And so when they produce that chunk of gold in this country, which you add as part of your GDP, as soon as you finish the calculation, that amount of gold leaves your shores. That GDP flies away. If you go to the telecom sector, which I have always used, Glo is not a Ghanaian company. MTN is not a Ghanaian company. Tigo Airtel is not a Ghanaian company. Vodafone is not a Ghanaian company. So when Vodafone, all the charges you are making on these companies, they make so much money, you calculate this as part of your GDP. The next second, there is a flight that is at the airport. They are carrying your money in dollars and they are going away to South Africa, Australia, to the United States and United Kingdom. Your GDP moves away. You sit here and then you are telling us that the GDP has grown. And I keep asking you, who is the beneficiary of that grown GDP? So, obviously, it appears to me that managers of our nation are not thinking right. Anybody who is thinking about the health of our economy will depart clearly from GDP semantics and probably move to the GNP. That is the gross national product, which means that what foreigners in Ghana have produced will be subtracted from what we have, so that we'll see the full component, fili, gani, that this is the total amount of goods and services that the people of Ghana and the government of Ghana owns. When you do that, you will see that, Charlie, nothing there for the kitchen. And it is because we have refused to do this that we keep trumpeting this over-bloated concept of economic growth. And the economy is growing. Foreigners are benefiting. Your financial sector has collapsed. Foreigners are now owning almost all the banks. Not so?
Very.
And then you come and tell me that you are doing well economically. And that is the reason why our government are losing touch with our people. Because the more they continue to talk about gross domestic product, the more they continue to talk about inflation without thinking about the opposite ends. Because you can't talk about inflation without talking about unemployment. So when you are talking about inflation, you should be looking forward to what have we done to be able to generate streams of employment for our people. Your inability to do that means that that inflation is an artificial inflation, because you have created it in order to show paper that you have done well, when the majority of your people actually don't have anything.
But now talk of unemployment. This government talks about the fact that they have created over 2 million jobs. Of course, they can boast of the NAPCO initiative. They said planting for food and jobs, has also, created a lot of jobs for people. They have recruited people within the, the educational sector, the health sectors, and all of that. This government is telling you that, well, if we are talking about GDP, if you are talking about inflation, the fact that inflation has gone down, we have also created enough jobs for the good people of Ghana. How would you react to that?
Sometimes when you ask questions like this, I begin to feel malaria in my skin.
Why? Because I am
hungry. And I'm telling you that I am hungry. And you are telling me that you have provided food, when I am the one who has not eaten, and I'm telling you that I'm hungry. You are sitting somewhere and telling me that you have provided food.
Did they give jobs to some 100,000 youth in this country under the NAPCO initiative?
What is employment? Define employment for me.
Well, you are saying employment, but as far as I'm concerned,
define employment for me.
Some persons have been given jobs under the NAPCO
I said define employment for me.
I'm not here to define employment for you, but I'm only...
Because you are... I'm talking about employment.
to you that there has been an initiative where some 100,000...
If you are not bereft of ideas, and I'm talking about employment, and you cannot define employment, hold your fire and let me tell you what employment. Let me tell you what employment means.
To you.
Let me tell you what employment means.
Zero to you.
Let me tell you what employment. Are you ready? If you are ready, then I'm ready to give you.
Go ahead.
In our circumstances, employment is any permanent job, okay, that give you sustained streams of income. And this income caters not only for your present, but also for your future. Under the circumstances, your future is taken care of by the National Social Security and National Insurance Trust, estimate that a certain percentage of your income, which is about 5.5%, is deducted, and the government contribute about 13%, so that is put for you to cater for your retirement, right? That is the definition of employment under our setting. Tell me that the NAPCO beneficiaries' Senate is deducted to cater for their future. Tell me that the NAPCO income that they are earning is sustainable, because it must be sustained. Employment, in my definition, is sustained. Okay, this is not sustained because it's transient, as the government itself has said, that we are providing you this temporary employment, maximum a year or two, and that after that you are left to go. A new stream.
I don't think that they've said
no,
that
a new stream. Oh no, they will go.
They said they were going to absorb them into their user agencies.
Which user agencies? What prevented them from being absorbed at the initial or incipient stage? If indeed the user agencies were not saturated already, what prevented you from employing? In any case, after the 100,000 people were employed, majority of whom are yet to receive their allowances for the past 6 months. After that, have you heard that NAPCO has employed anybody again? That jamboree that was organized to welcome the 100,000 employment that they were going to generate, have you seen anything? The young people are telling you that even that, as said by the Northeast Regional Minister, even those to go to NAPCO, somebody said that the majority of them are already employed in the MPP, and they still came because it's allowances they are giving them. Everybody is earning 700 Ghana cedis. You are not taxed. You are not paying Senate. And so it is money they are giving away. So people just go and register their names and say that they are NAPCO beneficiaries, and they pay them money. In terms of real output, they have generated no output.
Okay.
So I am telling you that when you do something like this, and you come and delude yourself that you have generated employment, you have a crisis. And that is why when government says that they have generated employment, we are on the street saying that fix the country, because nothing has been fixed. When I do my farm and somebody come and list it and say that, look, we have done planting for food and for jobs. Tell me how many acreages of land the government of Ghana has cultivated. Tell me. That the Minister for Agriculture can come and tell you that we have done this and we have created these jobs. Look, if you go, we used to have the state farms. Let's begin to count that government deliberately has acquired lands and that they have put even our prisoners to use in these farms. It's non-existent. So private sector persons are doing their thing. You go and give them some stimulus and turn around to say that if they were not doing their farming already, you no go and support them. So I'm saying that, look, let us be very careful with the way we come and spit into the eyes of or the faces of people and tell them what they are not feeling. The people of Ghana are hungry. We are unemployed. We are telling you that we are unemployed. Then you are telling me that you have provided jobs. Where are the jobs when we are still unemployed? Where are the jobs when the young people are still lying at 37 Elwak Sports Stadium at this night, hoping that tomorrow and tomorrow next they will go and get security enlistment?
I'm telling you that under the Forestry Commission, some jobs were given to the good people of Ghana. They are saying that teachers have been recruited, and nurses have been recruited, and all of that. In fact, with the planting for food and jobs, they are telling you that if we have provided fertilizers, we have been able to support some farmers to be able to, you know, get some more people onto the farm and get them paid. We have created jobs. Does that not make sense?
Well, fertilizer is currently not available. A bag of fertilizer in the Upper West region is 200 Ghana cedis. And if you have done maize, 1 acre of maize, you need 2 different sets of fertilizers. The first phase you need for 1 acre, you need 2 bags of fertilizer. That's 400 Ghana cedis. The second batch, you need another 2 bags of, because 2 weeks after planting, you have to apply fertilizer. The second dose of fertilizer will have to be applied 31 to 35 days after the maize have grown. So in doing so, you are spending how much per 1 acre of land, and the fertilizer is not even available. You know that fertilizer distribution was a problem. The minister himself had to admit, and they released about 210 million to give to the distributors of fertilizer so that fertilizer can get to the regions. Unfortunately, they are non-existent. So don't go there. It is something that you don't know. I can provide adequate information on that.
Well, you are on the farm, so probably you have.
But on a more serious issue. See, it is PLO Lumumba who says that any government that takes a long time to come and explain what they have done for the people has failed. So to come and give us lectures and to come and read to us what you have done, it means you have failed. We should be feeling what we have done. Okay? If our roads are good, nobody will tell us our roads are good. The government doesn't need to tell us our roads are good. We will see that our roads are good. Not so. If we have employment, the government doesn't need to come and tell me that you have generated employment. We would have been in employment, and so we know we have jobs. If we have hospitals available to us, we will know that we have hospitals. The government doesn't need to come and say it. But our government come and they think that, as I said, a repeated lie or a lie repeated with zeal will over time gain credibility. So our government come to repeat, hey, they have told us that they are going to do 1 district, 1 factory. Right.
Yes.
And every time you hear the president, even now, fully believing that, look, the rhetoric that 1 district, 1 factory, the president now is believing that he has done it. Okay, in the Upper West region, we have 11 districts. Wa Central, there's no factory. Wa East, there's no factory. Wa West, there is no factory. Jirapa, there is no factory. Laura, even the dog meat factory Anthony Cabo promised, it doesn't exist. Nandom, there is no factory. Nadoli Keleo, there is no factory. Dafiama Buse, there is no factory. You go to Sisala West, there is no factory. Tisala East, there is no factory. And the president still believes that 1 district, 1 factory is ongoing. There is something wrong with you.
You produce factory.
I'm saying that you said 1 district, 1 factory. Is Nadoli Kaleo district not a district?
It is part of the district.
It is 1 central, 1 municipal, not a district.
They are all
I have counted 11 districts in the Upper West region, and I'm saying that there is no 1 district, 1 factory. You doubt it? call all the DCEs, and including the regional minister.
I'm not sure the government is saying that they are done with all the factories, but they have done some.
1 million per constituency. I come from the Nadoli-Keleo constituency, and I can tell you that there is no $1 million that was provided for the peculiar development needs of our district since 2017. There is nothing like that. Okay, so when you come and tell me that one village, one dam, there is no dam in Gudairi, there is no dam in Pagadenge. So which villages are you talking about? And even those communities that are here that they dig, they sank some dug out. How Wakumsi himself came and told us that you don't give me 270,000 Ghana cedis and say I should go and do any meaningful dump. And so they just went and collected mud and put it there. And then the next rain, the places were washed away. So you see, we are led by a deceptive government that wants them to believe constantly in their deception and their rhetoric that we have done something. When the factories don't exist, you are telling me they exist. If they existed, we would have seen them, feely. Eye to eye. They are non-existent.
But now, if the factories... There's a factory over there.
I'm saying that.
They are telling you that there's a Casa de Ropa, which has been established by this government. They are telling you that they have supported some private, factories.
The private sector man decided to do his factory, not so.
Right.
You went and supported him. That is his vision. If my vision is that I'm going to do a factory to process cashew fruit into juice, and I start and I decide that no, this factory must be converted into a university. Government will come and say the investment they have put in my factory, because of that I cannot convert it to a university because it is my business. So sometimes you ask yourself some of the rationale behind some of these policies. Because if government is not establishing the factories to run them and probably offload shares and hand over to the private sector, and you want the private sector to go and do it, private sector is super profit motivated. Okay, and so when the private sector realizes that setting up a dog meat factory or a cat meat factory in the Volta region will not be profitable, they will not do it. We are encouraged to go and do rabbit rearing. You don't forget that. Anytime people tell you rabbit is fast growing, go and do rabbit rearing. And so I even went home, and one of my sisters who have restaurant said, why are you not doing rabbits on your farm? So I asked her, how many times do people come to your restaurant and they ask for rabbit meat? When was the last time you went to any restaurant and said that, did you have rabbit? So that I want to eat rabbit meat. So yes, rabbit could. Yeah, so you have to produce things that are used by our society, not because they are fast growing. Because I don't see that anybody has gone to a restaurant, to the best of my knowledge, and sat down and said, I would like to take rabbit. They will ask you for chicken, beef, and mutton. Not so. So there are things that you have to do. And so in this instance, it appears that we are misapplying resources. And I want to tell you that it is because our president and his government are not thinking well. That is why we are running into all these crises. And that's why when we are saying that things are tough, they are in the delusion that things are right. And therefore, they will continue to run this economy in a mess, as we are witnessing now.
Right, let me take a few of our messages. I'll come back. We'll touch on some of the things the MPP says it has done, and that proved actually that they are on course. They are managers, better managers of the economy and all of that. This one says, please, good evening to you. I'm very happy this evening simply because your guest has spoken very well. God bless him. He's speaking the realities Ghanaians are facing currently. MPP as a party is not helping Ghanaians, especially the youth, with regards to employment. Their security service recruitment is just a contribution towards the building of the National Cathedral. James Boase sent in that one. James, thank you so much for your message. This one says, have a look at a rural, please stop calling. A road leading to Dr. Hila Liman's village. That is very, very bad, extremely bad anyway. This one says, please, the country is hard. From Opekuma, you sent in this one from OP Kuma. Thank you. So please stop calling the WhatsApp line. I cannot answer your call.
But you, so if they are calling WhatsApp, put it on flight mode. Read your messages.
Very well.
So, how can a technologically screwed person like you will do that?
Unfortunately,
you are a disaster.
Once you tell them, they'll stop. You don't. Akufo-Addo and MPP should know that there is.
They are behaving like Akufo-Addo.
Expiring date for power and wealth. So one day, expiring date will catch up with them. From James K. Saba. James K. Saba, thank you so much for your message. I have a lot more messages here. This one says, big ups to Mr. Bernard Mona for your contributions towards the nation. We're watching you live from Goli in the Upper West region. Thank you so much for your message. This one says, hi to you also. Mr. Host, your guest is a comfortable liar. If you inject into an economy, the actual production is done by humans, and therefore is a fallacy of hasty conclusion to say lesser inflation means high unemployment. All right, Lydia in Tamale sent in that one. Lydia, thank you so much for your message.
Just a correction. Apart from that, I use theory to justify that. And I said that any student of basic economics will know that the relationship between inflation and unemployment shows a positive correlation.
Right.
That anytime inflation is, in fact, it shows an inverse relation. Anytime inflation is rising, unemployment is decreasing.
Exactly.
What it means is that there is enough in the economy to be spent, and therefore people are generating streams of income, and the more they spend, the more the prices of goods and services will rise. It doesn't mean bad. It means actually that if inflation is rising and then you are generating the jobs and people are producing, your economy will be doing well.
Right.
It is negative thinking to think that anytime inflation is going down, your economy is doing well. What it actually means that unemployment is on the rise. Go and check the Phillips curve.
Very well.
Lydia.
Thank you so much. This is our Ghana economy hardship, which is giving us headache always, unless God himself decides for us in the future. Thank you so much for your messages. And says, Comrade Bernard Mona, you are a true center-left politician. I know you are unshakable. From Joe Kwame in PV South, PV in South Day. Thank you so much for your message. Hello, Justice. JDM is the eye of Ghanaians in the year 2020 general elections, but Madam Jane Mensah want Akufo-Addo and his MPP to borrow more. Anyway, you don't say that because you don't have any evidence or whatsoever to type that. Actually, good evening, Pan-African TV. I really like the confidence and the explanation displayed by your guest. He said it all. At Justice Cypher in Ho sent in that one. Thank you so much, Cypher, for your message. Is there any short code to collect what? Unfortunately, we're not discussing that, and I don't know of any short code to have the laptops that are being distributed by government. Good evening, Justice. It's quite sad to note. It's quite sad to note that the MPP cannot distinguish between the government and the party. What is quite worrying is they lie with impunity, still with impunity, and yet no one should talk. Say hello to my brother Bernard Mona. Suleimana Nafiu from Kaleo sent in that one. Suleimana, thank you so much for your message. Let me take a few and then come back to the studio. Good evening, please. I will be glad to know if your guest is still PNC member or not, NDC or not, or now NDC member. This is pure propaganda. We have a lot of experienced Ghanaians. Experienced Ghanaians who can do what I choose my guest. You don't tell me.
No. Read the message.
Unfortunately, but I think that's
read the message. The message is to me, right, and I want to hear it.
Okay.
First, I am still a member of the People's National Convention.
It says that we have a lot of experienced Ghanaians who can come to programs like this to educate us than bringing someone who is only interested in one side of the conversation. Maunya from Ho, but I think that I can only also tell the person that I have the authority to decide who sits on this platform. You don't tell me
that is easy to you, and I don't take offense at that. I've answered his question. I'm a member of the People's National Convention and a proud member.
Right, thank you. But I took offense for him trying to direct me as to what to do with that program. Sorry. Good evening, Justice Bernard Mona. You're very intelligent. It's like you're fast in your submission. Please slow down, because I know by now the MPPs are copying notes from you. John Buedu and Yabuaben Asamoah, they are sorry. You have to send in the messages must come devoid of insults. If I see anything insulting, I would stop reading your message, so please take note. Mr. Bernard Mona, your views on national issues are always apt. However, the PNC is dead now, so what are your plans for the future in Ghana politics? Mr. SS sent in that one. Bernard will answer. He's here. And I don't understand what you meant by the PNC is dead. I think Bernard is now the best communication director for NDC. And I think his party will be very disappointed in him because he's always defending the NDC all the time. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. He will respond to all these messages.
Sometimes I feel wheezy when people accredit me to the NDC and my comrades in NDC don't even value me. They don't value me. But they treat me as the worst opponent they have come across. When I was contesting in my constituency, the kind of messages and language that the NDC and its big wigs used against me. And then you come and then you are speaking your mind on national issues. And people who knows next to nothing about how you relate politically, even turn around to accuse you and align you to the NDC. If I were indeed NDC, you think the NDC would do the kind of things they did against me in my constituency?
I doubt.
So, but you see, you just have to tolerate opinions. You have to tolerate opinions and allow them. Because obviously, I chose to be with the People's National Convention because I don't think that the NDC holds the key to the success of this nation. As for MPP, they don't even come close. And so when I'm speaking my mind and you go and sit at your corner and you want to cage me to another political party, you are not doing yourself a service. You are actually doing a disservice to the kind of enlightened conversation that we have to do. I could easily join any political party and I still chose to be a member of the PNC. Right?
Very well.
Other persons who lost elections from the PNC, they left. But how many times have I not insisted that I still belong and remain a PNC member? So stop deceiving yourself and thinking that everybody is a piece of commodity to be bought.
Right. Before we go, some time ago, you recall that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, touted over...
Before we go where?
Before we wrap up on the show.
Oh, your show is ended.
we have just some few minutes to go. Okay. I mean, it's just an hour. Now, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, touted over 100 achievements of his government. In fact, even in their first term. And one of the achievements under this government has to do with the free senior high school policy implemented. Restoration of teacher training and nurses training allowances. They also talked about some other things they have achieved with the free senior high school policy. They are saying that by the implementation of a free senior high school policy, they have saved, or they have put monies into the pockets of parents in a number of circumstances who would have been paying for school fees for the awards and all of that. That alone in itself is a great achievement under this government. Your take on that?
First, majority of the people are living in rented places because there are no sufficient accommodation on campus for them. And so you see underage people going to rent and to stay. No doubt that the quantum leap in teenage pregnancy is high among secondary school attendees.
Right.
My son is in secondary school.
Okay.
And I currently don't even know when they are going to school and when they are going on vacation. Within a period of 4 months, they have gone to school twice. They were admitted to school. They went exactly 29 days. One day I just got up and heard that, they said we are vacating tomorrow. And they came. I was there and then they said we are supposed to go back to school. They went to school exactly about 28 days. They are back home. So what is the school timetable for us? Today, we are told that there is a change of curriculum. For more than 2 years, there is no syllabi, there is no textbook accompanying the change in curriculum. So what will the teachers use to teach the people so that they will understand what they are going to write? In the absence of the textbooks that will guide the teachers on what to teach and to impact on the students, government is busy buying past papers. past papers to come, are they going to rely on past papers? So if you buy 1981 past paper, at that time we didn't even have proper landlines across this country. Today we have mobile phones. At that time we didn't have internet. Today we have internet. Now we don't go to internet cafes. We use our phones as source of internet. And also, so it means that questions of 1981 or questions of the past will not be relevant in today's modern way of teaching and impacting. Whilst teachers are complaining that, look, they don't have the textbooks, their teaching allowances are not coming, their incomes are midget. Government has decided that they want to earn money, so they have gone to procure laptops. A contractor has supplied the laptops, and that teachers must take laptops. To go and do what? To go and research what? Because you don't have syllables to teach.
Right.
So what do you do first? You have to provide the teachers first with the syllables, so that they know the parameters within which they have to teach. So that if you have laptop and they are now even connected to the internet, you say that they should do further research to add. Now they don't even have the common textbooks to teach. You are bringing them laptops. Is it not because somebody have to chop his 10% or her 10%? So a contractor will deliver the laptops. The teachers, I'm told, they will pay 30% of it. Even the teachers' unions are now calling for an investigation because they think that, why, they go into the market. They know the same type of laptops that they are being given. They know the value of the in the market. The 30% is equal to a laptop that they could easily go and buy. And you are telling them that government has subsidized it by 70% and you are giving them free laptops. So we have a peculiar challenge. So when you still come and you are telling them that free SHS has put money into people's pocket, you don't understand. I have a ward in school. And I'm telling you that anytime the ward is going to school, you know you have to prepare. Give them their provisions and what have you. They go to school. Before you realize they have come back. What you have given them, they are not bringing it back to you. That is one. Number two, because of the erratic nature of their timetable, you have to, if you want your ward to actually do well, you have to come and organize classes for them. So you pay teachers. So you have not done any service by ensuring that, yes, you say people are going to school free, but at the end of the day, they are getting less impartation at the school. The concept is good. Free senior high school, why not? Free university, why not? Free tertiary institution, why not? But hey, implementation is very bankrupt.
Now, very so I kindly give me some few minutes to wrap up. But let's look at this. Before you chastise the government on its management of the economy, you should also take into account that we are hit with a COVID-19 pandemic. And this pandemic has affected almost all economies in this world, of which Ghana is of no exception. Government in these times, I believe that anybody at all could have been charitable on, because COVID-19 is one of the reasons why probably government is unable to perform to the satisfaction of any other person.
Justice.
Bernard.
You have started your question as if the government of Ghana was doing very well. And that
they're not doing well,
and that the young people, can I make myself?
I just want to read out something for you.
And that the young people had jobs to do.
This one was published in January 24, 2020. And it says, and this is Dr. Bamia, quote, "If you look at the management of the economy and compared to the first term of any government since the Fourth Republic, right, that there is no government in the Fourth Republic that can match the record of achievement of President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo." That's according to Dr.
Yeah, the rhetoric of gargantuan corruption is unmatched. Nobody can match the record of Nana Akufo-Addo's profligacy.
They are protecting the public purse.
Yeah, profligacy is not protecting the public purse. Nobody can match President Akufo-Addo's taste for opulence, renting and staying in presidential jets just to enable him to bath a flight that will take you just 6 hours. President Akufo-Addo must bath, he must sleep in the flight before he can go to the next destination in 6 hours. And therefore we need to be renting for hiring planes for £15,000. Right. So yeah, nobody can match that record. So if Vice President Bawumia is saying that, we need to credit him that indeed in the history of our Fourth Republic and probably in the history of this country, no government has shown such opulence, such vulgarity, such ugliness in terms of the management of the economy than President Akufo-Addo. But you see, when you come and tell me that COVID-19,
right,
isn't it sickening that because of some COVID-19, companies were asked to close down? Remember,
right,
jobs were lost. Companies suffered a lot of financial impropriety, particularly the tourist sector, the hospitality industry, because most hotels were closed. They could not function effectively. They laid off their workers. They incurred overhead costs and what have you.
Right.
Now, when you are lifting the ban on COVID and allowing these places to operate, what you need to do is to incentivize these companies and not impose taxes on already burdened companies. In other countries, they are giving them stimulus. In the United States of America, they have given them handouts so as to support the people so that they can survive.
But that was done in Ghana too.
In Kenya, they are supporting their people. They are giving their companies tax reliefs so that they can spring back. And you see, when you release the companies of the tax burdens and other tariffs that government is imposing on them, these companies will now get roots to establish before they can develop their branches. Today, our government has imposed COVID-19 tax. It is myopism.
But stimulus packages
it is myopism. It is myopism for you to get up and say that you have incentivized people when you are taxing them. You are imposing COVID-19 tax, and you tell me that you gave us free water, and that the free water was free to the people, but it's not free to the treasury, and therefore we must be taxed to pay back the money. So where is the freeness in that? So how do you expect these companies to grow?
Let's get going.
You are a government. You go and contract loans. You bring the loans and come and pay foreign contractors that are working in your country. They take the money. They take the money back to where it's coming from. Your local contractors that are working, you have decided to deny them opportunity so they can sustain the workforce they have. Where is this coming from?
But thank you so much for coming. I'm so grateful for your time. Let me say a very good evening to Rosemont Esinam Sika. You are in Ho. You're watching us. Thank you so much. You're an ardent viewer of this program. So grateful for your time. So grateful that you have been part of this program. Also, many thanks to a lot of people who have watched us both on Facebook and on TV. We are so grateful for your time. A very big thank you to my producer, also to the cameraman Budu, and to Sewa, my director. But thank you so much for coming once again.
Thank you. Next time, call me early.
I'll do so.
And give me ample time.
I'll do so. I'll do so. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. This is our time will allow us on the program. Make a time with us. Same time tomorrow. My name is Justice Appiah, and the show has been Hot News.
Truly African.